Hi, I'm Justin Boyd.
And I'm a dragon rider if Rhaenyra would have me.
And we are the Watchers in the Basement. Welcome to the Watchers in the Basement. For us, it's welcome back. Because not all of us aren't back yet, but hopefully we'll be soon. That's right. This past Monday, Hurricane Beryl hit Houston, where we're located, and left all of us powerless for several days. I think I might have been the most fortunate. I got my power back like early morning Wednesday, but Brittany, who's not here, of course, her power, she just got it back today, like literally like a couple hours before House of the Dragon, the episode aired. So she will not be joining us, unfortunately. And hopefully everyone else, Tristan, everybody will rejoin us at some point this week. Frank, before we talk about the episode, how are you doing after the hurricane?
Man, I'm blessed, man. I was bitching. I got my power late Wednesday night, and I was bitching until I found out that most of Missouri City still didn't have power. Sienna Plantation, a bunch of little subdivisions around Pearland. Well, Pearland has it, but Missouri City and Stafford. So I'm fortunate. I learned very quickly to not be too ungrateful because, like you said, Brady just got power back today, and a lot of the people around the city. So I'm blessed. Had some fence and roof damage, but I'm alive. I'm here. Let's get it.
Yeah, no, it's power is important, not whether you have a dragon or you just want to like have Wi-Fi. You gotta have some kind of power, and we're glad that we're back, and we've got some plans for the week, but let's talk about episode or season 2, episode 5 of House of the Dragon. The episode titled Regent, and as in there's a new Prince Regent, and we'll get to that in a second. But Frank, what are your overall thoughts for this episode?
I have to get used to the pacing. I'm at a point now, either fight it or just get off the bus. And I'm at the point now. I'm like, I'm just gonna just go along with the program and just suffer through a lot of these long conversations in every boardroom, king's room, queen's room, open field as much as possible. I read the books many moons ago, so I don't remember the book moving so slow. But I know what HBO is trying to do, what Max is trying to do. They're trying to stretch out these seasons and get their money's worth, I guess, with these episodes. Um, I mean, you have some movement go on in this episode, which I can appreciate. Uh, People don't know, but my two favorite characters so far in this season have been, Bayla and well, now that Rainey's is gone, Bayla and Aemond, and now having the movement that Aemond is now, Prince Regent. Something tells me we're gonna get some more fuck shit slash action moving forward with him at the helm. So I'm hoping that we get more of the action and more of the chess moves that of walking the walk. I think having a warrior king or warrior king regent may cause for some more displeasure in a good way as far as dialogue moving forward for the podcasters over the next 3 weeks. But it was an okay episode. I mean, the pacing was slow, but there's been some movement, there's been some strategizing. I think that may turn into more fighting scenes moving forward. I just wish they showed more of the action. In this episode, we had an example of the Blackwoods and the Brackens, of what could have went down, and again, they kind of didn't show it. And I think to really convey the dilemma of like the infighting between the blacks and the greens, you gotta show the struggles of like other houses, of them being affected of this infighting between the blacks and the greens, like the Blackwoods and the Brackens, and like in this episode, like we had some melees and some frustration with the small folk. Even seeing that made me happy because like you're starting to see like some of the ramifications of like the black and the greens decision making. So I think more action is on the way, hopefully. Especially with what is it, 3 episodes left after today.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it was an okay episode. I mean, I wasn't as frustrated as I was 2 weeks ago and 3 weeks ago. So
Yeah, no, I understand. It was kind of a pick up the pieces episode after what happened, like everything built up to the episode 4 with the dragons fighting, and now you've got to now you got the aftermath of that, and you've got to kind of rebuild up to something. So I wasn't expecting a ton of action, and we didn't get really any at all. But I do think that we're starting to see some kind of plans come into place, and really we're kind of seeing how really screwed everyone is. Like whenever you bring the dragons in, it's their ball game, and they are going to dominate this war. They're going to be, it's their war, honestly, and the people are just kind of dragon fodder. Um, so let's get into the episode. Before we do that, I just want to say, we're back. We're happy to be back. But we're also happy to have, people back in the live chat. Once again, thanks again. King B Johnson's in the chat. We appreciate that. Geeking out with Melly Mel. She's here. Hello, Mel. Good to see you. M Moves is here. So thanks again for joining us, M. We really appreciate it. And again, we last week we had a lot of plans for a lot of podcasts, and the hurricane really got in the way. But we're hoping we can kind of pick up the pieces ourselves and get back to potting. As far as the episode, Frank, we had a big focus of this episode was dealing with the loss of Rhaenys, with her death at the end of episode 4. And we see kind of how Corlys is processing her death. We see even how Rhaenyra is processing the death, and Baela with that's her. Rhaenys was her grandmother, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
So we get kind of that. We get the recovering from the loss of Rhaenys and Meleys. What did you think about how Rhaenyra, how everyone kind of processed their grief, and also Rhaenyra kind of quickly is like, okay, well, Daemon's away, Rhaenys is gone. I've got to get Corlys back on board, and she offers him to be the hand of the king.
So is the question is how's everybody dealing with it? The loss of Rhaenys?
Just like, what'd you think about how they used her death as a plot device to get through this episode? And then what did you think about Corlys being offered the hand of the king as kind of like a make good for, hey, I got your wife killed, but or she died. I mean, she volunteered, but what did you think about how that all kind of worked out?
Yeah, it's I mean, Tristan said it last week. It's both sides don't want it to come to dragon warfare, because both sides know what it means for the future, or for the immediate future, which is a lot of bloodshed. Last week you literally saw knights cooking in their armor in the open field due to Meleys dragonfire and at Rook's Rest. Both sides know that, right? So now that it's come to that, we're at a point now where it's to the point of no return. I think Rhaenys' death is going to be a rallying cry. I mean, you even saw in one of the scenes at the council meeting with is it Sir Broom? I want to say his last name is Alfred Broom or something Broom, but
yeah, all I caught was Sir Alfred. That's all I got.
Sir Alfred, yeah. So I mean, they're frustrated because they lost one of the best dragon riders and one of the great thinkers. Whether she was a woman or not, like, I know in this world, women are not really thought to be like strategists when it comes to warfare, but she was, outside of Daemon on the Blacks, she's their second best dragon rider, and now she's gone, and their second strongest dragon, or probably the more battle tested dragon, not named Daemon's dragon, is gone now. So from a chess piece perspective, they took a L, right? And now from a family arc perspective, they took a bigger L, because she's the blood of a dragon. She's the blood of a Targaryen. The queen never was, and she was such an insightful person. And you could tell throughout the series, Rhaenyra really relied on her for wisdom. I mean, there's a point in time her Rhaenyra kind of bumped heads, but at the end of the day, Rhaenyra knew what she had in her back pocket when it came to Rhaenys, somebody she can go to for wisdom, for counsel, and more importantly, support. Like, she doesn't have, even though she has the council around her, she doesn't have a much immediate support as far as like somebody she can like lean on and rely on. Rhaenys was the only person really, not including now Baela and Jace, who are like trying to set themselves as leaders too. So it's a big loss for not only Rhaenyra but for Baela as well. I mean, Baela mentioned today in this episode today, like I wish I would have known my grandmother earlier in her prime. I mean, all I've heard was the legendary woman that she was, the fierce leader that she was, and now that's gone.
Yeah.
For what it means for Corliss, I get why Rhaenyra did it because, as you can see, all the swinging dicks in that council, nobody fucks with her when it comes to like people respecting her decision, and she knows having the leader of the tides in that queen's room with her speaks weight because they know if Corliss has her back, the other guys are gonna fall in line. They're not gonna dare speak down on her or dismiss her when it comes to like decision making because Corliss is that dude. I mean, he's the closest thing to a Targaryen there is. I mean, I know he's Valerian, but he is of dragon blood as well, and he is well respected as leader of the 14 Seas as of right now. So she knows she needs to bring that chess piece in. I think the mistake that Rhaenyra made, I think she went to that chess piece too early. The man just lost his wife. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and more importantly, the man lost his wife and she lost his wife fighting for you, Rhaenyra. Like, you need to chill out for a little bit. Let that man grieve. You know what I'm saying? Try to move without him and give him time to catch his bearings, So I thought it was a little bit too soon for Rhaenyra to ask for this favor. I mean, I thought it was a good idea to ask through Baela because Baela is Corliss's granddaughter, but that should have waited a few weeks. And on the flip side, I understand it's war and you need all the chess pieces you can get, but you got to have some grace as a leader. And this is where Rhaenyra struggles when it comes to like leading. Like she's never led a host. She's never led strategies into war. She's very green and she's showing it, right? Like, and a lot of this is on Viserys too. Like she mentioned in this episode too, like, while if I was a boy, my father would have shoved a sword in my hand and mean I could walk. But I wasn't doing that. I was a fucking cupbearer, right? So Viserys naming you heir, but not giving you the tools to be a great warrior, a great leader, a great dragon rider. Viserys failed her, and now a season later, you're seeing the results of Viserys not doing her justice, preparing her for potential moments like we are now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, you make a lot of great points there. I think the part about leadership, it seems like the whole realm is kind of missing leadership, because we see in this episode, we see that, the men in the Black Council and the men in the Green Council, they don't want to give the power to the women, right? Like, even though, Rhaenyra's case, she is the queen. In Allison's case, she's the queen dowager, how do you say that? And whenever they're looking for someone to take the place of Aegon, Allison is there and she's like, I did this for my husband when he was ill and everything was fine. And they decide to pass over her and go with Aemon because now we're in a time of war. But it is funny because all these people they've only lived in times of peace. And so really none of them seem to have a plan. And it's very apparent as this season's playing out, especially this episode, that they're all just like, "Hey, we got dragons." Like that's pretty much the strategy now. It's like, "Hey, who has the biggest, baddest dragon? Who has the most dragons?" And that appears to be who's gonna win this, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's the blacks have more dragons, but they don't have dragon riders, right? Like,
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
that the greens have less dragons, but they have the most powerful dragon in Vagar.
Yeah.
And they're down a dragon, and Sunfire he's gone, but like they still have enough dragons, but while the blacks don't have enough dragon riders.
Right.
Um, I will say this too, in the history of Game of Thrones, this story, the Song of Ice and Fire. I don't think there was ever a time in history where the King's Council had two active warriors on the council. Like your hand of the king is Kristen, who
Right.
is the leader of the who is your lead knight and leading all the ground forces, and then now the Prince Regent, who is your number one dragon rider and warrior, your best swordsman, is
Right.
acting as king. It's very interesting. Like these guys are doing double duty. I don't remember a time in reading all this George R. R. Martin content that you had two part-time warrior slash council people on the council. It's very interesting.
Yeah, it's like they have double duty, but same pay. They're getting paid one time, two jobs. It's like easy, guys. You get paid the same. Let's go to the chat. Mel's got a question, Frank. Let's see if you can answer this one. When Baylor refused to be Corliss' heir, is this going to force Corliss to reach out to his bastard son? It seems like he was considering becoming Rhaenyra's hand now that he is basically all alone. What do you think about that, Frank?
You know what? Not just that. I think this episode, and I think last week's episode, is setting up for the Dragon Seeds. And I mentioned this last week. The Dragon Seeds are pretty much bastards on both sides. Targaryen on the Targaryens and the Greens, Targaryens and the Blacks. And when they showed Alan in the very first episode this season, and they showed him again in the very next week, and along with his brother, is led to believe that they're going to be dragon riders, right? And then I think it got confirmed pretty much in this episode when Jace and Rhaenyra were talking about, well, we need dragon riders. Let's look at the history books and see the history line of like possible blood relatives that aren't like at court, but people who have the blood of the dragon within them. I made the guess that Alan would be one of the dragon riders, along with his brother as well. Moving forward, they show Hugh Hammer again today. Hugh Hammer in the book was a dragon rider as well. So I think that the story is setting up for people of bastard blood to be go-getters in this war to come when it comes to claiming some dragons.
Yeah, that's interesting. It looks like next week we're going to get the new dragon riders because, like you said, the Blacks have two dragons that don't have riders, and apparently those are their two largest dragons. Is that what they're saying? I know they're saying that basically they're saying like these two can take on Vhagar and Aemon. Like these two dragons.
Vermithor was the old king Jaehaerys's dragon, and he is one of the oldest and one of the most experienced dragons when it comes to warfare outside of Vhagar. And I forgot the other one. I forgot the other name as well. But yeah, they're one of the two more powerful dragons. Not more powerful than Vhagar, but they could give Vhagar a fight if need be. So
yeah. Just to stick with Team Black, earlier you talked about how Rhaenyra doesn't have a whole lot of not respect, but she doesn't have her council doesn't seem to really have her backs per se, or they don't really believe in her as the true leader because she's a woman. She does, however, have counsel with Mysaria. Mysaria has become I'm not sure if it's Mysaria or Mysaria. I'm gonna say either way. Anyway, that character seemingly has kind of found her spot in this world, and that is being the kind ear for Rhaenyra. How'd you think? What'd you think about Mysaria's role in this episode, and how her plan was basically, hey, there's another way to fight this war. We can kind of win the propaganda war and turn the people to our side.
I'll tell you this much, man. I don't think she needed much assistance. The people already don't fuck with Aegon and his people. I mean, you saw in the scene where they brought Melee's dragon head through the city. Like, no one gives a fuck. Everybody's hungry. People like Corliss and they have the blockade going, so food can't be brought into the city. Like everything's blocked. So I don't know whose idea was to say, hey, let's parade Melee's dragon head in the city and show our win, our victory. People are hungry. They don't know when the next meal is coming, and you think that they give a fuck about a family war to take over a throne that either side has not shown any grace when it comes to feeding the small folk. And that's been my point throughout this whole season, is that you have to play the politics of the people. you have to make sure that the people that your subjects that you're trying to rule over are taken care of. And I can't remember that if the taxes got doubled this season. I want to say I might be mixing the books with the show, but there's no food for sure, and like
Right.
people don't care. So Masaria doing that. I mean, it's a good ploy, but already the people are already against Aegon and his administration per se. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, if you want to strengthen your cause and create more propaganda, I guess so. But I think that propaganda was already strengthened for Rhaenyra when the minute Aemon told his council to close the gates and don't let anybody leave. So
Yeah. Earlier you talked about, or just a little bit, you talked about the parading Melee's head through the city. I think that was Cole's plan. It looks like that was his idea, was to let's show like here's our trophy from victory. Because he's the one who is like, as they're riding through, he's like, these people are not acting like this is a win. And Gawain said, it was a strange victory if it was a victory at all. That's basically what he said. I'm kind of paraphrasing. But I agree with M moves here saying that it's a big mistake to parade the dragons through the city. Because not only does it kind of demystifies the dragons, right? Because the dragons are these mythical creatures that are controlled by these powerful, the people who ride these dragons, these magical beasts, they must be powerful people as well. But when you show that the dragon can be killed and the people who ride those dragons can also be killed, you're kind of taking you're revealing, you're removing the curtain, you're showing like, hey, like this is, like as the guy, I don't know the character's name, but the man whose daughter is sick and whose wife wants him to leave,
Hugh Hammer.
Hugh Hammer, okay. He basically just says, look, they're just meat, like meaning the dragon, that they're just, you know, meat, just like people are, So it was not a great move by Cole, which chalk another one up for for Kristen Cole. He's not having the best time.
What are they 0 for 2 like playing to the crowd now? Like who idea was it to I think it was Otto's idea to parade Prince Jace's head uh body
Yeah,
to the crowd when he got killed. Like these
right.
people don't care. Like show them food. Show them like you have dragons. Flying food for your people. Like you want like you're fighting for a throne that no one gives a fuck about outside of the family, as far as like the people at King's Landing. Like they don't care. Like and I'm surprised that nobody has come up with the idea of like placating to the people until today with my Mysaria. Like you need like it's kind of like a campaign trail. Like you gotta campaign what people want and what people hunger for. And in this case, it's food, like survival. That's what people need right now. And neither side is thinking about that. They're just thinking about we just gotta get this throne. We don't care about nothing else. It's these they have these blinders on, and they don't understand that you're gonna whoever wins is gonna have to deal with the hunger and the frustration of the small folk, not just the King's Landing, but in all the seven kingdoms. So
Yeah. Yeah. M moves points out that the high towers aren't the true rulers. Team Green are high towers, but not true Targaryens in spirit. And that's a true point. But the problem is, like, whenever you show these dragons that they can be killed regardless of who's you know on their backs, like it shows that all of this is up for grabs. It really is anyone's game.
well, there are two. I mean, Aemon's he's a Targaryen. Like he has his father was Viserys Targaryen. I mean, there are still
Yeah,
members of the Grains that are still true Targaryens, like Aegon, like Aemon, Helena. They're still Targaryens, even though they are on the green side.
that's fair. Let's talk about Aegon and Aemond. Um, I wasn't totally sure that Aegon was going to survive after what happened in episode 4, as his brother kind of you know, Dracarys'd him to the ground, basically. But Aegon has survived. He's in a rough spot. He's badly burned. Half of his face is burned. Much of his body is burned. But he's still breathing. He's still hanging on. And I thought it was kind of interesting scene when later on in the episode when Alicent goes to sit by his bedside. She sits there for a little while, and he's struggling to breathe. And as she like walks away, he says, "Mummy," and kind of shows like this guy. He's like what, maybe 20 years old, 18 or something. So, and as we saw in the last episode, she hasn't been like the greatest mom to him. Not that he's the greatest child either, but her mother's mothering skills haven't been. I mean, I don't know. It's a tough world for all these people, but what'd you make of that with him kind of calling out for her given the condition he's in?
I thought that scene was so powerful. Oftentimes with grown men, when it comes to despair, tragedy, near death, men plead to their mothers. Like no matter how old you are, you plead to your mother. I mean,
Yep.
When George Floyd was brutally killed a few years ago, in that video, he pleaded to his mom, as he was being choked to death. Like that was such a powerful scene because it shows you that even with the lack of mothering that that Allison has displayed to her 4 children, we haven't seen Darren just yet, but as the lack of mothering, these kids are showing their lack of their need of mothering and catering through the weaknesses, through their disadvantages. Like with Eamon, Eamon, he goes to a whorehouse just to get comfort, right? Like he's not fucking, he's not having sex, he just wants to be comforted, with Aegon, like Aegon, the last episode, the last couple episodes, he's questioning his he has his insecurities as king because he's not being briefed on things. He feels like he should be the de facto leader when it comes to decision making and like being briefed on things, and the one validation he's looking from or looking towards is from his mother, and he gets the opposite. Like, and I think in so few words, Allison pretty much said, just because your king gives you wisdom that to know all things, keep doing what you're doing, which is nothing. That's the absolute worst you could have told. That's the one thing Aegon did not need to hear. He needed to hear confidence. He needed to be catered in a way, especially from his mother. Helena is, I mean, as odd as Helena is, she needs that mothering too, and a lot of that comes from her awkwardness of not having that catering spirit from her mother. So all these kids, they show the need of mothering, and through their deficiencies as in their personalities, and but Aegon screaming is gently saying "mommy" as she's walking out. That was so powerful, man. I mean, whether you hate the Greens or not, a grown man who's in writhing pain, crying for his mother, that was powerful, man. I love that scene.
Yeah. Speaking of mothers, let's talk about Damon. He's still at Harrenhal, and he's still hallucinating or seeing visions or whatever's going on, dreaming. And we'll talk about his kind of whole arc in the episode, but let's get to, he has a dream where I thought he was having sex with Viserys' wife, but was it his mother? I guess it was his mother, right?
It looked like some Oedipus shit, man.
Yeah.
It was some Oedipus shit. I was supposed to be his mother. I'm very confident in that, especially when she closed the last line by saying, "If only you was born first," or "I wish you was born first." I was like, "Oh shit, he's fucking his mom." Like, but again, that placates to the mommy issues. Like Balon, Viserys was the firstborn. Viserys, in this world, doesn't mean you're more deserving. Being born first, especially in a high-born family, you get privileges that sometimes you don't deserve, right? Like, I mean, say what you want to say about Viserys. He was a kind-hearted person, but he was weak. He was a weak dude, and if Viserys is born second, it's a moot point. But I don't know how much better the kingdom would have been if Daemon was born first too. I mean, Daemon, he's duplicitous at times. He's very cold-hearted. He doesn't have a soft heart at all. So I don't know if Daemon would have made the kingdom any better. But that was definitely an Oedipus complex, and I think the show's trying to do is try and dive into um Damon's mother issues, because I think he placates a lot of that too into his relationship with Viserys. That and Viserys not picking him to be his heir, I think was the second rejection that he faced in his life coming up. I think his mother, I think that scene kind of just showcased to the public or to the viewers that his mother did not show him good fortune like she did Viserys, the firstborn.
Mhm. Take a question here from the chat. We got Melly Mel here with he doesn't understand why Damon is hallucinating so badly. Is it because the castle is really cursed, or is it Alice Rivers the cause of that? Frankie,
Yeah,
is Alice Rivers working the yeah?
all of the above. All of the above. There's been rumors since the burning of Harry the Black at Heron Hall that even before Harry the Black that castle was cursed, and now you implement, by all accounts, a witch in Alice Rivers. I mean, people say she's a witch, she's a sorceress, and she's playing a part too with the hallucinations and a lot of the fever dreams that Damon's having. So I'll say more so it's Alice, because even in the main series of Game of Thrones, you didn't see a lot of like hallucinations or like curse, like paranormal stuff in the main series when Tywin Lannister was there, when Arya was there, doing the main series of Game of Thrones. I think what the show's trying to tell you now in this incarnation of Harren Hall, that Alice is the main culprit of what Damon is facing and what he's seeing. And so I mean, and in the book, it's strongly suggested that she practices blood magic too. And you see a lot of the blood, like even in the scene with his mom. I mean, you saw blood in that, blood in the food that's not quite cooked right with the duck and the goose. Like, I think a lot of blood magic is being done with Alice to promote a lot of these hallucinations that Damon is facing. But also too, like I said last week, I think there's a lot of guilt as well. Like the hallucinations we saw last week with young Rhaenyra, with Lena, his first wife. I don't think he fully ever dealt with that loss. With his wife dying by dragonfire with his unborn child inside of her. He never really consoled his daughters after the loss of his first wife in Lena with Bela and Rhaena. So these hallucinations, I think, are also guilt trips as well, things that he's never dealt with.
Yeah. And when Damon's not dealing with the hallucinations via Alice Rivers, he's seemingly having a tough time taking the Riverlands. This episode, early on this episode, he talks about how he's trying to convince the Blackwoods to have the Brackens, their hated rivals, kind of join his side. And then later on in the episode, we see that the Riverlands, they want no part of Damon, as one of them is quoted as saying, they won't raise the banners for a tyrant. What Frank, why has his plan, although it's a very hasty plan, why has it not worked to convert the Riverlands to his army?
Well, two things. In the Riverlands, like the North, the people are very proud. They don't sway on their words. When they pledge fealty, they don't break that shit. Like you saw in this episode when Damon is on his dragon, and he's telling the Brackens, either pledge to me or die in Dragonfire. They chose to die in Dragonfire. Like they're not. We're not portraying Aegon and the people that we pledge fealty to. These are very proud people. You're not going to sway these people like that. They're not people who take words lightly. And that's the first thing. The second thing, he told Willem Blackwood to go there and pretty much take captive of the women and children of the Brackens. And I think one of the scenes, there was reports that the Blackwoods came and killed small folk. They kidnapped. They promoted a lot of violence. Again, it's like you're not going to get much done doing that to people who are proud and people who are not going to bend their words or betray their or turn cloak, as they say, to the very people that they pledged to, which is Aegon and the Green. So though it was a clever idea, but what Damon fucked up is, with men, especially proud men who are family men, they're gonna do whatever they can to protect their loved ones, their children, and their women, right? But you promoted an arch enemy to carry this out to another arch enemy. So you told the Blackwoods, who hate the Brackens, to carry out this deed. You don't think the Blackwoods are gonna do the absolute fucking most and just go extra like they did? Because like there's an axe to grind against these people, against the Brackens. So that was very poor on Damon's part to try to get that done through them. He should have enlisted another house, maybe not an arch enemy of the Brackens. That made no sense.
Yeah, not a lot of strategy. Not really not any good strategy happening in House of the Dragon thus far. We talked about a little bit earlier. Let's talk about Alicent and her kind of her arc in this episode, or her storyline in this episode. As we mentioned, she was passed over for Aemond, and in that scene, they purposely linger the camera on her while Aemond immediately steps up, grabs the little ball thing, starts barking orders once it's determined he's going to be the Prince Regent, aka basically the next king. And Alicent is not having it, and I especially think that she did not enjoy hearing Lord Larys and Kristen Cole both agree to the council that it should be Aemond and not her in charge. What'd you think about that scene and how that played out?
Poor Alicent, man. She done gave us some pussy to Kristen Cole to no avail. Done let Larys jack off while foot play, and none of these sexual favors did her any good fortune in this meeting, in his council meeting. But seriously, man, it's just carrying on the narrative that men don't think women can lead. Yeah. That's the narrative that both Rhaenyra and Alicent have been fighting since the inception of this show last season, is that no matter what you do, no matter how smart you are, how daring you are, how brave you are a woman. And unfortunately, no matter how clever you are, no man, especially a highborn man, is going to think that you're ill-equipped to lead, especially in war. And that's the downside. And then it was a great scene, like watching Aemond carry on, with his constituents while Alicent's there. She's at her wit's end. It's like, I've sacrificed everything for this family. I've done whatever I could to put this family in the best position, and like everybody around me is betraying me. I was a huge reason why Aegon even became king, right? And like, it wasn't for me, Aegon wouldn't be king. And it's like, with my shrewd moves, it's pretty much just being trounced on because I'm a woman, and that's the most fucked up part. One of my favorite lines, man, is when Alicent meets Kristen Cole in the courtyard.
Yep.
And she's like, has your loyalty wavered? And I think she said, oh man, I wrote it down. She said, or does it flourish? Or does your loyalty flourish only at night, and flee the sunrise like a moth?
Yeah, that
was a bar.
Like, it's a great line. Yeah,
it was a great line. But here's where Alicent fucked up at. You think spreading your legs is going to give you the absolute advantage when it comes to warfare and decision making for men? No, it's not. And Kristen is right. Like, Aemon's a dragon rider. Like, this is now a dragon war. Like what he saw at Rook's Rest, he knows, no, I gotta make sure Aemon's good. Because if I pick Alicent, ain't no telling him. Aemon's different now. When he saw Aemon on that field that day, he knows he has a monster that's unhinged. Yeah. And if I pick his mama over him, who knows what's going to happen? And he rather sleep with that monster he knows than a monster he doesn't. And I think with Kristen, he's made a lot of poor decisions. I think putting Amy on the throne was probably the best decision, only because he has the dragons. This is not a dragon war, and it's you can't get away from that now. But yeah, so
that's what Cole basically tells her. He's like, look, we've given the war to the dragons. We need a dragon rider to lead us. And you can tell by what happened in episode 4 that Cole was shook by what happened, because this is a guy who has been, maybe not war, but he's been in hand-to-hand combat. He's seen armies fight, and the power of the dragons, how they could just, burn metal and burn steel and kill, hundreds of people in one felt swoop. He's basically saying, look, like, this is all about dragons now. It doesn't really matter what we do. Like, we've just got to position our dragons and have more dragons, or have the biggest or more powerful dragons, because it's the dragons now.
And think about this too, Justin. Like, for 2 episodes, Kristen and Gawain spend the better part of 2 episodes gathering a garrison, right? To go against Rhaenyra, right? That garrison got roasted like barbecue like that by melees. So Kristen sees, okay, I spent all this time gathering these houses, gathering all this fealty, only to be cut down like a knife through hot butter. This is beyond men. This war is beyond men now, and I can't risk more men dying. At this point, we got to give to the dragon guys now. At this point, this is above my pay grades, which Kristen's Cole was saying. This is above my pay grade. Let's go to the dragons now.
Yeah, there's a lot of themes in this season, in this episode. There are obviously women are kind of being discriminated against, but then you also have people who feel like they've been passed over, whether it be Daemon, whether it be Alicent, whether it be in this case, Jace, even Rhaenyra herself. People who, or there's people who like are on the sidelines who they want to get in the game, but in Rhaenyra's case, like, she's the queen, and if she takes the battlefield, she could suffer the same fate as Aegon. But Jace, we see, like, Rhaenyra has been protecting him for his whole life, and now he's like, I'm tired of it. We don't have many people left. I'm a dragon rider. We've got to we've got to do something. So he goes to meet with the Freys, and the Freys, what we learn about them is they fear Vhagar, they want protection from dragons, and they want Harrenhal. And I gotta say, the only thing I really know about the Freys is what I learned from Game of Thrones. And when Jace was having a drink with the Freys and he started to stand up for a second, I was like, have they just poisoned this dude? But I guess not. It looks like he was okay, because he continued in the episode. But yeah, I'm not sure if you should trust the Freys. And basically the Freys, what they have to do in return to get this protection is they have to bend the knee. Frank, do you think the Freys will be allies for Team Black?
Yeah, I think so, because I think, to confirm what the Freys want, they want Harrenhal. They want a castle. So I guess what they're saying is, if you can enlist a dragon to protect us against Vhagar and the Greens, and if we go through with this promise of opening up the bridge for I was gonna say Ned Stark, Cregan Stark's army to come through, we need a favor. We need a prize. And I don't know why they want Harrenhal. Like, that's just a fucking ruin as it is. But I guess a castle's a castle, huh?
Yeah, it's haunted also.
Yeah, it's like it's cursed, and it's well known amongst the 7 kingdoms that place is cursed. Like, people don't fuck with Harrenhal. So for them to want Harrenhal, I thought it was kind of interesting. But I guess the way they see it is that it's vacant and it's big and it could possibly be worked on and be remodeled to their liking, I guess. But it was a ballsy move by Jace, man. It's a ballsy move. Like, I try to see things from perspectives. I get Rhaenyra. You lost your son. Like, Luke is gone. Like, you can't risk losing any more princes, right? Like, these are his kids. These are her kids. Like, she, as a mother, and this is why I say sometimes it's hard for women in this juncture to lead, because you're leading with the perspective of protecting, and sometimes you protect to your own detriment. Like, if Jace is gonna be heir, he needs to learn. He needs to know the ways of politicking, not just fighting, but like sitting down with lords and ladies and brokering deals and brokering pacts and showing his presence as a prince. Like, you can't hide him in the towers. And I think that's the motherly side of Rhaenyra that's weakening her at the same time. So Jace, kind of going against her mother's wishes, I think played well in their favor, because he has to grow up, man. Like, and and this is what frustrates me about Rhaenyra, is that you want to be queen, you want this throne, but you're not doing anything to plan to set up your succession. You bitch moan and complain about Viserys not setting you up and not getting you ready to lead and to for a situation like this, but you're doing the same thing to Jace, and you can't do that. I know you lost Luke, but this is what happens when you're in war. You have to set up and strengthen your succession line to make sure that they're ready if something comes to pass. Because if Rhaenyra says, I want to be a dragon rider, and she goes and fights and she has the same fate as Rhaenys, Jace is now next, and he's fighting with Daemon, and like there's no clear succession. It's all just a clusterfuck. So Rhaenyra has to let that boy grow, man. What was that line that the other Aemon said in Game of Thrones of John in season 4? Let the boy die, let the man be born. Yeah. That's what Jace needs, man. That's what Jace needs. Let the boy die, let the man be born. Yeah, that was a bar, man. God damn
it. Game of Thrones was good. Like we seem to forget that sometimes, but what a great show Game of Thrones was. It encouraged us to do a podcast. But going to the chat real quick. So why did the phrase want Harrenhal? According to M Moves, they wanted to fix her upper. So, and then King B Johnson mentions the Gaines family, which that's also like a time or what is it? Discovery Max property. And then we've got Geeking Out with Melly Mel mentioning things that about HGTV on the next episode. Fix her upper Harrenhal. I would actually watch that. I think.
I would too.
Yeah, I don't watch a ton of HGTV, but like when I go to the dentist or something, it's always on HGTV, and then I sit down there and I can watch this every once in a while. It's okay, it's kind of like just it's like elevator music but on TV. So
it could be called Fixing Up Harrenhal with a mix of like Ghost Hunters, because it's gonna be hunted with ghosts and shit. So
there you go. Yeah, crossover. Yeah. Gotta love that. Let's see. What have we not touched on that we need to? Let's see. I think we've kind of hit a little bit of everything. Is there anything that we didn't talk about, Frank, that you wanted to mention?
Yeah, Rhaena and Lady Aaron. We saw the veil.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, they want you. Let's talk about that. The Aarons, they want dragons, and they don't want the eggs. They want some full-grown dragons. So talk about that exchange.
Yeah, so Lady Aaron is like, look, man, like we have an impenetrable force by ground, but not by sky. At any point in time, Vega or anybody can come here and just barbecue us. And she's like, we want dragons. And I mean, Rhaenyra gave them dragons. I mean, they gave them dragon eggs. They are now like little hatchlings at this point, size. I think they're smaller than dogs, but she knows war is coming. And these dragons are not going to grow fast enough to be instruments of war in this coming battle, in this coming conflict. So I love that scene, because what I've been bitching about over the last few weeks is that I want to see the detriment of like the decision making of the blacks and the greens and how it affects everybody else, right? And now you're starting to see with these other houses, the veil is far as fuck. It's like way past up there in the north, like, and they know, like, look, we live in the era of dragons. Like, we might be out in the mountains and shit, but like, if war happens and I plead with the blacks and Vagar or Moon or any of the other dragons come and blow my shit up, we're not prepared for that. So Lady Aaron speaks a good point. But this is what happens when it comes to war, man. You start thinking about not only the future of you, but the future of your kid and your kids and your family. And Lady Aaron is a mother, and I think the ongoing theme with these women in this series is that they all want to avoid war, and they all want to protect their young, and they know that at the end of the day, if we can't protect our young, then what's the point of us even being here as women? And I think Lady Aaron in that scene was very, very powerful. I mean, Raina speaking, for her aunt, I guess that would be an aunt, Rhaenyra. I'm not even sure. The bloodlines, all the inner fucking confuses me. But Raina defending Rhaenyra and her people, I thought. I mean, Baela and Raina, man, are growing up in front of our eyes. I love what I'm seeing from these two young women. They're fierce. They're even showing more like brass as politicians, more so than the men. And she had her own that conversation with Lady Aaron, and I love that she protected her cousin stepmom. Yeah, I guess that's correct. I'm so lost with the bloodline, but I do love that Raina stepped up, and she didn't seem, when Lady Aaron mentioned Rhaenys death, Raina didn't seem shook. She was steady hand. And it just speaks to the maturity, man. And I think Raina and Baela had that poise, that maturity from their grandmother, and Lena as well. Lena was a strong woman too, and you see a lot of like personality traits of Lena and Rhaenys in the two Valyrian girls. So shout out to those characters, man. I love what I'm seeing from them. They are really, really showing growth and maturity, more so than a lot of the other people on either side of the Greens and the Blacks.
Yeah, it's good to see Raina and Baela get more time on screen, like, because like I know who Baela is, but Raina, every time, it's not that I don't know who she is, but every time she's on screen, I'm like, what's her name again? Because she's only on screen for like maybe a minute or two at most, but it's good to see like those characters, Jace and all these younger characters, kind of step into the forefront, much like how on the other side, obviously, we had Aegon and Aemond and even Helena got a little bit of time in this episode. I wanted to ask you about that. Actually, there's a part at the end of the episode when we see Aemond, who's now the Prince Regent. He's staring at the throne, and then Helena walks in and she asks him, "Was it worth the price?" And we've like I said, we've only seen Helena for a short period of time, but every time she says something, it proves to be pivotal very soon. So what did you make of that scene?
Prophetic. Yeah. So prophetic. It was like, it's like she's watching everything through a glass window. Like everything. Like she knows her brother. she knows Aemond. Like she knows Aemond's ambitions. She knows Aemond's insecurities. Aemond is still fighting a war at 9 years old when he lost his eye. He is still fighting. He is still trying to make up for that loss. And when Helena said that, she said it in jest. Like she said it pretty much like, "Look, I know you cost. I know you being leader was a cost of my husband's doom. My brother husband's doom. Like, was it worth it? Was it worth sacrificing possibly your blood to become Prince Regent?" And the look that Aemond gave was chilling. Like it was pretty much like, "Bitch, yes, it was worth it." Like he said it so much with that look, with that one eye, like it was just like, "Yeah, motherfucker, it was worth it." And what else you got? Like it was, that look was so telling. Yeah. And man, that was a powerful scene. That was so powerful because words didn't need to be said on one end. Like that look said enough.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's interesting because you have Aemond who is looking at the throne and he's next in line, and then you have Daemon who already thinks of himself as the king. And one of my favorite lines of this episode is when he's talking to Simon Strong, and he wants to be addressed as the king. Originally he wanted to be addressed as Your Grace. Now it's the king, and Simon Strong he's like, but you're the prince, and he's like, okay. Daemon's like, yeah, but I'm married to the queen. So what does that make me? And Simon Strong says, that makes you the king consort. And David said, the last bit feels a little unnecessary. Don't you think? Like, the acting in this episode's awesome. I mean, this whole series, but if you're not going to have a lot of action, I do like how sharp the characters are back and forth with the dialogue. And I thought that was a great line.
I'll tell you what, man. Sir Strong said, look, man, I'm 80 years old. I ain't got much life left to live. I want to speak my truth, bro. If you kill me now, so what? I live a happy life. I don't give a fuck. Like that man's tongue is the level of I don't give a fuck in this tone is so beautiful to hear. I love it. Like, this man, Damon can just say fuck it and just burn all y'all motherfuckers in Harrenhal and not even bat an eye. And he's kind of like, look, bro, like, do what you will, but I ain't calling you king. Like, and what? Like, I love Strong he's been an MVP. He's been a low key like 6 man off the bench this season, man. Like, he's dropped some jewels this season that I didn't think he'll get the screen time that he's gotten. Yeah. But I'm glad he has. He's almost like that Alfred to Bruce's Batman. Like he keeps it real no matter what is going on, and it's so needed. And especially with Otto being gone, it's very needed to like hear very honest dialogue and feedback.
And he's got money problems too, so I mean, he doesn't have a whole lot to lose. Like it's, except for the pudding that they're having every morning or whatever.
Right.
That stuff must be pretty good. Before we get out of here, Frank, is there anything else you want to mention that we haven't talked about?
Yeah, let's talk about Hugh Hammer, man. Like, okay. I know they showed him again. His daughter's gravely sick still, getting sicker. The wife is pleading to leave to go to Tumbleton. I think her brother's there. Yep. And he's like, oh, you want me to be a beggar? Bitch, you are poor. What the fuck are you talking about? Like, you are already, and like, I think the wife said, we already are beggars. Like, look at us. We're small folk. Like that.
Yeah.
The male ego is going to end this world. Like, you have nothing. You have no food, no money, no coin for passage, and you worry about looking as a beggar. Your daughter may die any minute now, and you worry about looking like a beggar. You have no money, no food. Bitch, beg. Like, what are you talking about? So that shit, I don't know, man.
Did they already beg before the king?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's the funny thing. Like, you beg for coins to I guess in advance to like create more weapons and stuff for the army, for the Royal Army. But like, so you can beg to a king, but you can't ask your brother-in-law for a roof over your head and some food for a few days. Like, I don't understand that. That's so weird to me.
So usually, when Tristan and Brittany are here, they talk about the book stuff a lot. Let's play book corner for a little bit, Frank. From what we saw in tonight's episode, obviously don't spoil the thing going forward, but from what we saw in tonight's episode, how much of this was actually in the book, or was this all kind of show invention or show like kind of freestyling from what the book did?
So for sure, Aegon's body is really burned. Like, in the book, it's like over half his body is burned. Like, it's really, really bad. So that's accurate. Yeah. I can't remember the council meeting of the transfer of power to Aemond. Aemond does become Prince Regent for a while, but I can't remember exactly how it was done in the books per se. At this juncture of the book, Hugh Hammer, Alan Valerian, those guys are really starting to showcase themselves more in the books as well. The War, the Blackwoods, and the Brackens are pretty spot on as well. there's another dragon that hasn't showed up yet that's mentioned in the books. I won't say, and a woman that's mentioned as well that I won't say, but
Okay.
I don't know if they're gonna go that route. I won't say her name, but it is on the black side. But I don't know if they're gonna go that route in the book, in the show canon of this particular dragon, and it's this particular woman who ends up riding this dragon. So
Okay. Yeah, I always wonder about that because I know like there's been a lot of stuff in this season where it hasn't followed the book, and for someone like me, that's great because I haven't read the books. I don't think I ever will, but it's always interesting to kind of see like how are they kind of just following along, or are they kind of doing their own thing? It seems like they're kind of doing their own thing.
they are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Is there anything else you want to touch on before we close out this episode?
Nah, man. I think we pretty much covered everything we need to cover.
Yeah, I think so too. So we've got 3 more episodes for the season. Looking forward to that. So we appreciate everybody who joined us in the chat. We obviously we're not playing with a full team tonight, but we're doing the best we can. We appreciate all the help from Geeking Out with Melly Mel, King B Johnson, and M Moves. And that's really the best way to join us. Is if you want to help us out, if you want to like take part in the show, join the live chat when we go live each week on YouTube. As I've said before, we hope to be your post game report for House of the Dragon, your place for instant reactions. So continue to come here for the next 3 Sunday nights as we'll be talking about the final 3 episodes of the season. But there's other ways to get a hold of us, and those are on social media. Of course, we're on social media. You can find us at Watchers Basement on Facebook, X/Twitter, Twitter/X, Instagram, and Threads. And use the hashtag Watchers Basement. We will we'll check out that, see what you have to tell us. We appreciate that. Also, if video is not your thing, that's okay. We got you covered. We're on all the audio platforms as well. Most notably, we're on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So follow us there. Rate and review, all that stuff really helps us out. We appreciate it. And of course, the mothership is our YouTube channel. So subscribe to that. I know many of you have. We would hopefully we can get to 400 subscribers very soon. We're at 383, I believe, right now. So keep spreading the word about our podcast. We appreciate that very much. And Frank, any final thoughts before we get out of here?
Man, I can't wait to see Eamon's style of ruling, man. He's become one of my toxic characters that I like to fuck with. He's just fun TV, man. Like,
yeah.
I know when he's on screen, some fuck shit about to go down. Like, he's like Damon Jr. and I'm here for it. So let's see what he cooks up as Prince Regent moving forward.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing the new Dragon Riders, who those characters turn out to be. I think Frank, you laid out who they probably are, more than likely are going to be, but I'm interested to see how that process goes. And it looks like next episode there might be our guy Daemon Targaryen might take some action after spending much of the season in Harrenhal, just kind of dreaming and hallucinating. So I'm interested to see how episode 6 plays out. So, but that'll be next week. So for Frank, I'm Justin saying thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We will see you next time. Have a good night. Bye-bye.